All right, well, let's get started. It looks like we have quite a few people online. So welcome to today's masterclass. Today we're talking about working with your results. Before we hop into the presentation, I want to invite you to participate in the conversation. I already let you know about the chat feature in Zoom, but you can join the conversation on LinkedIn or in Twitter. Use these two hashtags. So hashtag TEVE and hashtag TEMasterclass. And we'll be keeping an eye on the chat. At the end of today's presentation, we'll also have a thought exchange too to ask any questions, and then we'll walk through that prioritized list. Perfect. So let me introduce myself. My name is Tila, and I'm a customer success manager at Thoughtexchange. I work with customers to help them plan and execute their exchanges. And then I also help them integrate Thoughtexchange as a new software in their organization. You'll see me online every Monday at 10 a.m. and every Tuesday at 11 a.m. for the masterclass and the Getting Started series respectively. And I hope to see you all online regularly too. So remember, we have masterclasses every Monday. And my biggest goal with these events is to show you how you can effectively plan your own exchanges, how you can maximize your participant interest and the engagement, and then how you can understand your results in a really actionable way. And those results are what we're talking about today. So today we're going to talk about the Discover dashboard, which is a toolkit in your Thoughtexchange account that happens once your exchange is closed and you're ready to get a deep understanding of your results. You use the tools in your Discover dashboard to understand what happened, inform your progress, and then to share your results back. So today we're going to spend about 15 minutes talking about what is Discover. And this is a term that you've heard your Thoughtexchange contacts say before, probably. We're going to talk about how you set an appropriate time frame to work with your results, how you loop back to your objectives, and how you involve others. And then we're going to actually hop into a sample Discover dashboard together and talk about which tools can be used based on your objectives. So tool selection, essentially. And I really want you to get comfortable exploring the topics and underlying values of your exchange using those tools. So let's hop in and talk about time frame. Getting really clear on your time frame lays out how long you have to dig into the results so you can maintain momentum for your participants. And that's a really key detail. It's how long do I need to understand all of this information, and how long do I have before I lose that momentum, before people aren't interested. So Discover isn't just you working with the information, it's also sharing results back with your participants so that they feel that they were heard and that action is coming because of the fact that they shared in your exchange. So we have a couple details to consider when you're thinking about your time frame. Think about if you have a short or a long-term time frame. Is your exchange a quick one? So for example, a live event. Then you can wrap it up real time with the participants. We're going to do that today when we participate in a Q&A exchange. If it's open for a longer period of time and it's a little bit more complex, so for example, strategic planning or organization-wide initiative exchanges, then you want to think about how can you share things back in a measured approach. So how can you share them back slowly so that people are really interested and stay on topic, even as you're working in that long-term time frame. So the second thing to consider is, what are your key dates? Set yourself some deadlines to maintain your momentum. Ask yourself when you want to be finished working with the results and when you want to send out your next big picture message. When do you want to share that custom report back with people? When do you need to inform your leadership team and then build back from there? And then the last thing is to maintain engagement. So this is really important if you have maybe a longer Discover timeframe or a longer working with your results timeframe. You want to send out a quick progress update. So results are closed. Thank you for participating. We're going to share out the custom report next week. And this helps to keep your participants really engaged. So the next thing to consider is to reflect on your objectives. And this is a word that we talk about in every masterclass, in every orientation session. We always want you to be as clear as possible on why you're running your exchange. What is your why, or what's the topic that you're trying to address? Getting clear on that will help you accomplish and focus on working with your results. because then you move from, okay, I have all of this information, and then you have a clear action path forward because you know what you're looking for. So a really good exercise to practice before you start working with your results is to loop back and ask yourself, why did I run this exchange? What's the original reason that I ran this exchange and asked for this participant information? Actually write it down and write down 2 or 3 things that you want to learn or take action on. And then once you're really clear on your objectives, consider what information that you need to meet them. So maybe I ran an exchange with my stakeholders and I'm looking to prioritize initiatives to improve my communications for the next month. So I've reached out and said, what do I need to consider as I improve communications over the next couple months or the next month? And maybe my objective for that is a list of priorities. So when I'm looking at my results, I can actually look at the top thoughts and have a prioritized list. I know that I can work through those one by one and that the order of them is the correct order according to the stakeholder agreement. But alternatively, if my objective is to know what my stakeholders disagree on, maybe what's working well and what do we need to improve upon, differences could be really useful. It's going to show me the different groups of agreement and disagreement and help me build priorities based on that. And if you're stuck on figuring out your objectives, here's some inspiration of what other leaders are doing. You've seen a version of this slide likely in your orientation workshop or in our Getting Started workshop. And basically for each type of exchange that you're running, these are some objectives. So you could want to brainstorm a future plan, approach, or decision, gather feedback on a proposed idea, uncover questions that need to be answered, look for lessons learned and areas to improve, dig deeper to uncover the root cause of an issue, or inform a live meeting or set an agenda. So you can use any of these objectives as starting points and build off upon them. So the next thing to consider is, who do you need to fold in to support you in working with your results? There's basically 3 different personas that you could consider for people that you need to fold in. One is your understand the results. This is your co-leaders, your decision makers, anyone who has a role in implementation. People in this group will need full access to your Discover dashboard, and you can set them up with that using your Manage tab. And you really want to get them involved. So maybe for these people, you should have a working session to dig into the results. Maybe you do some team theming, and maybe you formulate an action plan together. The second persona or group of people who you'll need to involve are your preview the results. And these are your senior executives, your board members, whoever you report to in your organization. People might need access to the Discover dashboard, but it might also be something that you're reporting on to these people. So maybe this is something where you are hosting a presentation and you walk them through the Discover dashboard and talk about what happened in the exchange. You can also host an in-person discussion of the results. Look at the top thoughts report together, look at the connections tab, talk about the implications of the results and the actions that are going to come as a result of the exchange. And then the third group is your review the results. These are your participants, your broader organization, your community, whoever took part and whoever will be affected by the results of the exchange. And for these people, you can use the custom reports. That's, remember, that custom results website. Create the link and share it back with them. That's the quickest way to do so. So let's chat a little bit about tool selection. And the Discover dashboard is your Thoughtexchange leader application that houses exchange data. Various dashboard tools can help you understand who participated. It's going to help you visualize results. There's a top thoughts report. You can create custom theme sets. And let's actually hop in together to a Discover dashboard and go through those tools together. So here is a sample Discover dashboard, and I'm zooming in a little bit to make it easier for you to see. So here we are in the overview page. This is our participation breakdown and information about any survey question results. So you can see here's the question that I asked. What are the biggest challenges that leaders face when bringing people together around changes in their organization? And here's my participation breakdown. So I had 26 people participate. They shared 25 thoughts and rated a total of 210. And then down here, I can actually see the breakdown of what language that they participated in. Mainly, it looks like English. If I had Spanish, if I had French, etc., that would be listed here. And any survey questions would be listed below as well. We also have the connections tab, and that is that visualization tool that I mentioned. So it shows thoughts being shared, people joining the exchange, and then people rating the thoughts of others. If you are going to show this to any of your stakeholders, this is a fantastic way to demonstrate that an exchange is a conversation and not a survey. Perfect. We also have a word cloud. And word cloud can be a really powerful thing to include in your reminder messaging. So midway through an exchange, you'll want to send out an email or a social media reminder asking people to hop back in, participate more, and rate more thoughts. And this could be a visual example that you include. You can just download your word cloud here. This is the top thoughts page, and the thoughts are listed in order of agreement. So those with the highest rating scores at the top, and then down below here. If we had any survey questions, I could actually filter this page by survey questions. And we have the option to add a leader comment or a response to a thought here as well. Perfect. So next we have differences as well. And if you're looking for differing perspectives, the differences tool can show you disagreement around a set of thoughts, and you can account for these differences when you move forward with your action steps. So this is basically showing me two different groups of participants who disagreed on a set of thoughts. So side A rated these thoughts high, side B rated these thoughts low. Perfect. And if you're looking for theming results, there's a couple different options for you. There's an AI generated theme set, and this is using an algorithm on our end, and this is automatically going to happen for every single exchange that you run. It's pretty exciting, but you can also create your own theme sets too. And we are hosting a masterclass on how to do theming and how to create those theme sets on March 9th. I would highly recommend registering for that. We're going to go over strategic theming, emergent theming, and we'll talk about values-based theming, etc. So again, that's March 9th, and you can register on our virtual events page. But for now, I'll show you as well what the theme tool looks like here. Perfect. Perfect. So this is the themer tool. You can basically create themes over here on the right, select thoughts, and then pop them into the appropriate theme. Once you have your custom report themed, you can select your custom one under the theme set here and look at what you created. It looks like we haven't actually created any, so we'll just look at the AI ones. And when we're looking at the theming work that's been done, we have two essential views for it, and this is a really powerful thing for you in the Discover dashboard, and it's how you can kind of change that loud to crowd mentality. Right now, we're looking at it based on the star score. So the size of these bars is sorted based on agreement. Whereas if I switch to this thought view, it's the total thoughts within each theme. So the size is based on the volume or how loud that the thought was. So this is your loud view, and this is your crowd view. Perfect. Under this manage area here, this is where you can add people in. So if I was going to add in my leadership team, I would add them in using manage, put their email address in here, and they would automatically get an email from Thoughtexchange letting them know that they've been added. And then they would have the full access that you have as too. Perfect. And then the last thing to really dig into here is the reports. And this is where you can create a custom summary report. So that one that you share out with your participants. It's pretty quick and easy. We do have a recorded masterclass on creating those. So be sure to check out our help site or our virtual event site archive, and I'm happy to email that out afterwards too. So that's a quick tour of a Discover dashboard. Really the thing to keep in mind is that all of these tools are here, but you don't necessarily need to use them for every single exchange. Different tools will serve different purposes. What we're gonna do now is actually hop into a exchange together. So this exchange is, what are your questions and key takeaways about working with results? I'm gonna pop a link into the chat, or you can join using the QR code, or you can even head to thoughtexchange.com/join and type in that 9-digit code. And we'll give you about 4 minutes to participate in the exchange, and then we'll actually open up the Discover dashboard together and tour through the results and talk through that top thoughts report. All right, so what you're looking at on my screen now is our top thoughts report. And the reason that I'm refreshing is that as people rate different thoughts, they rise to the top based on agreement. And so we're seeing those with the highest star score at the top and those with the lower star scores down at the bottom. And we can think of that as, what does the group want to talk about the most today? So our top thought here is crowd versus loud. How do we accurately consider both? And that's a great thought. It's really about changing that mindset of who's the loudest voice in the room to how does the whole room agree together about this topic or about this thought? And what you're thinking is that you're looking for that rating score. So what are the highest rated ones? If we're using this thought as an example, this is what our crowd thought was the most important thing to talk about. And you can apply that to your own exchanges too. Obviously, the loud is important too, which is why when you're looking at those bar charts, you have the option to switch between thoughts shared and agreement score as well. So the next one is anything you wish you had known sooner. So one thing that I always say is building those custom reports and sharing them back when you can is always a really good advice, and being considerate of the time frame of your participants. So the more that you're communicating back to participants, the more buy-in and organizational change can happen because people are excited to participate in a variety of ones over a long term. You start building a sequence of exchanges, and as you share results back, you're kind of incentivizing participation because people see that their voice matters. Can you combine results from 2 separate thought exchange sessions? We do have a compare exchanges tool in our TE Labs. So that's this bottom button down here. This is called TE Labs. They're experimental features that allow you to kind of play around with a couple things beyond our Discover dashboard. What I will say is that anything in TE Labs is actively under development, so things are changing all the time, but you can hop in there and compare a couple things too. How to best go about theming results. So theming all depends on your objectives. You have the option to do an emergent theming strategy, so looking at what came out from the exchange and theming according to that, or to do kind of a more specified theming strategy, a little bit more strategic. So that could be something like doing a SWOT analysis, or if you're doing maybe a strategic goals one, you could have your goals be your theme set and add the thoughts into those goals as well. There's a lot of ways to go about it, and it all depends on your objectives. So I'm going to plug that you do attend the masterclass on March 9th to dig into that a little bit more, or if you want to do it now, to reach out to your Thought Exchange lead. So that would be your CSM or your account manager, and have them coach you on how to do theming for your objectives. How to create a custom report. Great question. So you create them just by clicking on this reports tab here, and then just step through. It's about 3 or 4 clicks. Basically, you're going to want to include the top thoughts, and then you have the option to include your theming. You click on save, and you're given a URL that you can share out right away. It takes about a minute. Are there demo files to practice on to develop skill? Great question. Not that I know of off the top of my head, but anything that you do in your account is for you. So you could specifically say that you are just doing a little bit of a test one with some results and you don't need to share them back. That's for you to explore as well. David asked in the chat, can you say a little bit more on how you would do a SWOT analysis? Yeah, so what you would do is you would set up your themes to be your strengths, weaknesses, attributes, and threats, and then add the thoughts into those different theme sets for different themes. So you'd have all of the thoughts associated with strength, all of the thoughts associated with weaknesses, etc. And we do have a help article on how to do that, so we'll make sure that you get that in the follow-up. For a live exchange, do you recommend having a second person in addition to the facilitator to maintain focus and momentum? If possible, I would advise doing that. In a live room, that could be really powerful. You can be facilitating the session and then you can have someone supporting you in the audience, helping people get logged on. That's how we'll do it quite often. And even right now for this virtual event, I have me here and then I have my colleague on the line in case I need any support on the back end. So always making sure that you've got that backup is really helpful. How easily can we get these results in a printable format? Very easily. So if we're looking at this top thoughts and I want to print it off, I click on reports, I click on new, I give it a title, click on print, generate, and I have this report that I can print off right away. Just click on this print button here. So it's really quick and easy for you to get that. You can print off your theme set report as well. So you don't just need to print off the top thoughts, you could print off the themes too. Perfect. Is there a limit to how many people can see your results from your organization? Does this mean that we need to add them as administrators to our account? You can add as many people as you need to a Discover dashboard. One thing to consider is that there's 2 levels of access. So you have manage access, meaning people can do all the same things as you, or you have view access, meaning that they can just look at things, they can't edit it. So consider that. Who do you want to be supporting you in doing that theming work? Who do you want to be supporting you in sharing reports? And who just needs to view the information? And that's managed. That's where you set that up here. So I click on add. I could set view only. Thoughtexchange.com. And if I were to log in as T. Lebyshire, I would only be able to view the information in the Discover dashboard. But if you set me up with manage access, then I could support with all the theming. Perfect. Next, we have what are some creative ways to display the results of an exchange that isn't immediately available in the dashboard? Are there options that you can get to through advanced options or some other pathways? I'm not entirely sure what you mean exactly there, but what I will say is that Discover dashboards are available as soon as you open the exchange. So you can view this information as the exchange is going on. So maybe you wanted to be promoting a top thought of the day every day on your social media. Every morning you could log in and take a screenshot of that top thought and share it out on your Twitter account or your LinkedIn or your Facebook and say, hey, here's the top thought today, come join the exchange. You could also do that with the word cloud too. Which tools on Discover dashboard are best for which content? How to decide which tool or way of analyzing the data is key when sharing back with participants. We don't want to overwhelm them with data. That's very true. So in the summary reports, you basically have 2 tools that you can include or 2 sets of information. You can include the top thoughts in the summary report, and that way everyone can read through the top thoughts. And you can include the theming work. So if you wanted to just include the top thoughts, you could. If you wanted to just include the theming work, you could. It really depends on what you think is the best way to present the information. What's an impactful way that I can share the results while doing an exchange? Would it be simply showing the top thoughts and discussing? Absolutely, you could do that. You could also use the word cloud. You could hop in here during a presentation while doing live and do exactly what we're doing right now too. And you could create summary reports midway too. There's nothing that says you have to wait for the end to do them too. Perfect. So those are all of the questions in our exchange. And I'm just going to hit refresh once more to see if we have any shifts. There we go. So you can see that things move around a little bit more. So here's what we're going to do in terms of follow-up. I'm going to send you a leader report with all of the thoughts that we had come up in our exchange, and I'll address them too so that you can refer back to them as well. You'll also get a recording. And what I will say is that we have masterclasses every Monday, except next week is a holiday up here in Canada. So we'll be back on March 2nd to talk about using Thoughtexchange in the classroom. So if you're an educator and you're interested in using it with your students, I would highly recommend attending that session. It will be a pretty exciting one. We do have our Getting Started workshop tomorrow if you're looking for a refresher. That's at 11 a.m. and you can register on our virtual event site. And then one final piece of housekeeping is that there will be a survey that pops up once you leave this presentation or leave this Zoom meeting. And if you can complete it, it lets us know what's working well about masterclasses, what other questions you may have or ideas too. And I will say that any questions that you have from today, you can reach out to myself or you can reach out to your CSM or your account manager at Thoughtexchange. So thank you so much for your time today.